Hi Flosstube, welcome to my channel, Sound Mind Stitching. I'm Chelsea and this is episode number 22. It is April 25th, 2024, and I'm so glad you're here. If this is your first time, welcome. If it's not, then thank you for coming back. I'm coming to you live from the place I lovingly call my dopamine den, which is the walk-in closet off of our bedroom. About 6 weeks ago, I started transforming it into a little stitching corner. You can see I've actually hung some stuff above me. I'm working on decorating it with my stitching. It's a reading spot. It's lovely. And all that said, it is next to our bonus room, which is the place where my 14-year-old is currently playing Fortnite with some friends. And I asked him to please talk a little more quietly into his microphone, but I'm not sure that he's going to abide by that. So I apologize if you hear a teenage boy yelling. Everything is fine. He's just playing Fortnite. So anyway, I have a lot to share with you. It's only been a couple weeks since I last posted, or last made a video, but I don't know. I've been stitching a lot, and I've got some FFOs. I've got a finish. I have a lot of starts. Told myself I wasn't going to start, but here I am. I also have some really exciting haul that finally came today. 3 days late. I thought it was going to get lost in a post office in Tampa, but it did manage to make it to my house today, so that was exciting. Well, that time I got interrupted by my 7-year-old. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get started because I don't like to film super long videos and I have a lot to show you. So the first one, FFO, that I have is Spring Hopping by Owl Forest Embroidery. I'm hoping that the light is going to be okay. I have my laptop open and I'm afraid it's kind of glaring, but this is on 32 count raw natural linen. It is floss from my stash. It's only 5 colors. This is a free pattern on their website and it stitched up really fast. I see now that when I hold it up here, it doesn't look quite as centered as it did when I looked at it, but I choose completion over perfection, and I didn't even notice that until I held it up. So I finished it in a hoop. I put a piece of cardstock behind it and then hot glued the fabric onto the cardstock and then hot glued just this circular piece of fabric. I did paint the hoop white and I just hung some twine. And I actually, let's see if I can hang it without looking. This has actually been hanging behind me in here, but I took it down so that you can see it. So I'll put it back. I'm hoping to kind of put some hoops back here. My second finish was probably, or my fully finish, probably one of my favorites that I've ever done. I think a few videos I showed the finish of this, but this is Hummingbirds by Owl Forest Embroidery. Sensing a theme. It is just, I love it. I love the piece, and I actually bought this frame for a different pattern, for Under the Sea by Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, but it said that it would fit in an 8x10 frame, but I don't know if my fabric was just a little off and it's like slightly too big. And it actually, I think, would look better with a little bit more space around the piece. And so I need to get like an 11x14 frame, but I haven't found it. Anyway, I was like, man, I really want to finish this hummingbird thing in a frame. Oh man, I wonder if this will fit. And it was perfect. So I did lace this, which I haven't done much, but I think it turned out really well. And I think I just need to keep practicing my lacing because this is probably one of the best, most well done FFOs I've ever done. And the frame is just really cool because I don't know, it kind of matches like some of these motifs. It kind of goes along, and it is white. It looks yellow. I'm gonna try to close my computer in a minute and see if it helps the lighting here. But yeah, that is Hummingbirds by Owl Forest Embroidery. I didn't use the Owl Forest threads. I pulled my own threads and tried to match them. Some of them are overdyed, and some of them are just DMC, but I'm happy with it. I don't know what, I don't know, I think I shared this when I posted. I don't know what I was doing here. I don't know, I don't even know what floss this is. I don't know. Nothing else is that color, but yeah, I just love this one. And it's hanging, I'm not gonna hang it now, but it's up on this wall right up here where I can see it. So I really love having that one where I can see it. Okay, I moved my computer and I think this is going to help. Now my computer is in my lap and not like up where it's interfering with what the pieces look like. So I should have unclipped this before I filmed. I didn't realize. This, I guess, is going to be kind of a finish and a start to show you because they're on the same piece. I'm calling it a finish here. Let me hide the very minimal start. So this is my one finish since our last video. This is the Jackrabbit by Cottage Garden Samplings. This, it's so hard to pick a favorite. I've done all the winter ones. This is the first spring one. I just love this guy, man. I love him. I love the pattern on his back. I don't know what this linen is. Someone sent me a bunch of linen last year and I believe it's some kind of Picture This Plus based on what it feels like, maybe fiber on a whim based on my very limited knowledge. I was really close to finishing this and realized I had run out of this gray. It's Aged Pewter by Gentle Arts. Not the dark one, but the light one that's kind of all this fill in. I only had one skein, and when I first started stitching winter, I was trying on 40 count, which was my first foray into 40 count, and it did not go well. So I switched to 32, but I'd already bought all the overdyed for all 12 of the patterns, and so I had only bought one skein of each of the overdyed because that's all it needed. By the time I got to the Jackrabbit, I forgot about that and wasn't even thinking. And when I looked back, it was like, oh, if you stitch on 32 count, you actually do need 2 skeins of it. And so I had to wait for that to come in. And then it definitely was from a different dye lot. But honestly, I mean, again, the lighting isn't great in here. You really can't tell. Let me see if I can show you. Like, I can tell because I was the one stitching it, but down here in his feet, the first part of his foot is the old Aged Pewter, and then I had stopped like right here, and it's the new one. And I mean, you really cannot tell. It just kind of looks like, you know, shading or something, shadows. So no worries on that. But before I got started on the next one, which, you know what, I'll go ahead and just show you because it's like nothing. It's not my first start of the month, but I did go ahead and start working on the raccoon, which is going to go next to it. All I did was like this little part of his tail. So I did check, and I did need 2 skeins of the graphite, which is a darker gray, for the raccoon, and I had only gotten one. So I've ordered another one. I haven't actually had a chance to compare them, but my plan, if they're really different, is to use one strand of each. And so just kind of like combine them, and then, you know, it should be more consistent. So that's all I've gotten on the raccoon. And again, this is some kind of mystery linen. It's very tight. I feel like it's almost more like 36 count. And so the raccoon will be in the middle, and then the ferret will go over here. And I've got all the floss for that. I just have to keep working on it. So that is the Jackrabbit. My one big finish. My other, now we're on to starts. What happened this month? I don't know. I started all of these in the last few weeks, and it's kind of insane. But my first start was, I've still got the needle in there, the May Airmail piece by Lindy Stitches, and I'm sorry that I did not iron. This is the Red Cheeked Cordon Bleu. Look how cute he is. I'm doing the border a little at a time because it's kind of boring, so I'm trying to kind of do a little border along with the other parts. I'm using all the called for. This is 32 count Silver Moon linen. It's the same linen I've stitched March and February on. And Lindy Stitches calls for a couple of overdyes and then some DMC, and I just love the way that she uses color. These are the flosses. Let's see, you've got some really fun colors there, these blues and greens. So I'm excited to keep working on that one. I started this one because I just needed a dopamine boost. I had a long week, but I wasn't thinking about the fact that the day after I started it was our anniversary. So number one, it couldn't technically be an anniversary start because I started it the day before. And number two, I didn't want this to be the anniversary start because even though I love it, it didn't have any sort of connection to like my husband, or I don't know, I couldn't attach any meaning to it. So that couldn't be the anniversary start. So that meant I had to start something else on our anniversary, right? That's how it works. So even though I hadn't gotten anywhere more progress on the other All Forest embroidery that my husband got for my birthday, I decided to start Snail Garden by All Forest Embroidery. He did order me the floss pack, the All Forest floss pack, and this is some of their linen. It's a 32 count cream. We celebrated 15 years of marriage on April 18th. My husband is a gardener, and the funny thing is that snails are actually really bad for your garden. You don't want snails in your garden. So it's kind of an ironic stitch because I think the snails are super cute, but you don't want them. They're not good. He doesn't like snails. But because he's a gardener, he got me this kit. This is our anniversary start, and I did get part of one snail started and some of these strawberries. So this one is really fun. It doesn't have many colors at all. It's just a lot of variegation, so it's really, really fun. All right, stick that one back in the bag. Okay. The raccoon was my other start that I already showed you. My final start, so this is number 4. This was a very spontaneous start. I have a lot of charts that I'm ready to, I have a good number that I'm ready to stitch on. This fabric is a mess. But I wanted to start something for my daughter. Her birthday was yesterday on the 24th. So we have a lot of big days at this time of year. People were talking about ink circles. I've been watching a lot of Flosstubers, and I've never done an ink circles, but I just saw, I think actually I saw someone who was stitching something, and I thought, oh man, I could make that for my sister. She would like that. So I went to the website to look at it, and then I was just scrolling through all of their patterns, and I ran across this one pattern, and I'm actually going to show you. I really have a hard time inserting pictures, so I'm going to show you on my Kindle what the PDF, the actual pattern looks like. Hopefully it will show up and won't be too glary. Let's see. Can you see that? Oh my gosh, it's pretty glary. Okay, well, if you want to look it up, it's Little Alien Schoolgirl by Ink Circles, and it is meant to be, she has a whole like backstory on her website, like they found this sampler in Roswell, New Mexico, like near Area 51, and that an alien had stitched it. And you can see her name, Amy G. Dalla, which is amygdala, which is part of your brain. There's an alien alphabet. There's lots of little motifs of things that are not from Earth. I have never done a traditional sampler, and I said in my last video, like I don't really enjoy them. I don't like the alphabets. I don't want to do that. So for some reason though, this one just spoke to me. It like jumped out of my computer at me and said, stitch it, do it. And then I thought this could be my birthday start for my daughter because she just turned 7. She's our only girl. We have 3 boys and a girl. She marches with a beat of her own drum. And I thought if she was going to do a sampler, she would stitch weird stuff. It would have like zombies and weird aliens and funny stuff. And so, I guess my love of the absurd contributed to it. So I decided that I was going to do it. I bought the PDF online so that I could put it in Pattern Keeper. I found that I had one large piece of raw natural Belfast linen that it would fit on. So this is the whole piece. I don't think it's going to be this big, but I started down at the bottom left, which is a little weird for me, but this is what I've got. I think this is meant to be some kind of like computer like code thing. I'm not sure, but I did pull all the DMC that she called for. She calls for weeks, and then she has a DMC conversion. I pulled the DMC. There was a lot of reds and browns, which first of all I don't love, and second of all do not remind me of my daughter. So I pulled the called for DMC, and if I had any of the weeks, I pulled that, and I basically replaced them with something brighter. Mostly it was just like a brighter, instead of red, I did a brighter pink instead of, I'm trying to find my floss for it. Yeah, here it is. Instead of a more like, I don't know, swampy green, I did a brighter green. So these are the colors that I changed. There was kind of like a brown, 2 different browns, and I changed one to like an orange and one to a yellow. So it's very rainbowy, at least in terms of these colors. I don't know, once I stitch it, it might not look like a rainbow, but I really brightened it up. So this is gonna be a little chaotic. I'm also get really nervous changing up colors. So this is kind of me practicing doing that and trusting my own judgment about the pieces. And it's a pretty fun, it looks like it's gonna be a fun stitch. And I think I might change the name to my daughter's name. Her name is Zoe A, is her middle initial, and our last name is Crouch. So it won't be super long. I think I can fit it in there. But we'll see. I'll wait till I get there and see how it looks. As I'm sitting here, I realized I forgot my last FFO. Well, too bad. This is Winter Celebration Small by Hello from Liz Matthews. I stitched this at Christmas time, just as like a fun little quick stitch. There's actually a lot of stitching if you look at that border stuff. Those are all filled in. I just pulled from my stash. And then I finished it I cut 2 pieces of mat board the same, and then I put this fabric on the back one and hot glued them together and stuck the ribbon in between. So you can kind of see, it doesn't look great from the top, but from the front you can't tell. I think I might hang this on our Christmas tree or put it on something at Christmas. I actually finished this to maybe give it to someone as a gift, but then I liked it too much, so I'm gonna keep it. Okay, so finally, oh man, guys, I'm sitting on my stuff. That's why I can't find it. Sitting on needles, that's not great. The other whips that I've worked on, which haven't been many because the Jackrabbit took me a lot of the early part of the month. Plus I had finished, I think, spring hopping in the first part of the month, and then I had all these starts. So I've only really worked on 2 of my previous whips, but I'm making some good progress. This is the Temperature 2020 chart from Snarky and Modern Embroidery. It was a free chart if you're in their Facebook group. This is 32 count Icelandic gray linen. This I've finished through May. May 31st ended a line, so I stopped, and my plan now is just to stitch in that month. So in June, I'll stitch the June days all the way to the end of the year, so I'm done by the end of the year. If you're new, this is the temperatures from 2020. We lived in South Carolina up until this point right here, which was March 21st. So those are all days from South Carolina where we lived, and then we switched to Georgia. Look how hot it already was in May in that year. It's the same now. It's getting so hot. So my goal is to finish this by the end of the year. It's not a fun stitch. It's meaningful to me because 2020 was such a crazy year for us, for lots of people. For us, we had our own kind of craziness. And I want to finish it, but it's just kind of boring. So I don't like to do it for more than a couple days at a time. My last whip is I spun my Tiny Decisions wheel and worked on Northern Land by, you guessed it, All Forest Embroidery. Let me see if I can stretch this out so it's not so wrinkly. I should have been better about ironing, but I didn't. So the last time I worked on this, I had this whole top part done and I had started on this little border that goes across, but I was able to work on all these motifs down below and start extending that little border that's underneath the people. These are just 3 different colors, 1/2. This is 36 count flax. It's very intricate, but it's very fast because you don't have to keep changing colors, and the patterns are pretty, like the motifs themselves are very, you know, symmetrical. I love this color. This is a Karen Water Lilies. It's all one color. It's kind of goes from grayish, purplish, pink, back and forth. This is like 28% done, I think, in Pattern Keeper. So it's got a ways to go, but I'm getting there. It's gonna look great hanging in this room. You can see the color of the wall. It's not quite the color of this thread, but it's close. And I'm like, maybe that's where I got the idea from. I don't know. It's very similar. So that is my other, my last whip. The last thing I'm going to show you is all of this haul. Let me put my computer over here so that I can see. So I went ahead. I had already ordered Hobbit House, the new Fabulous Houses piece. Actually, she just released a picture of the 6th one. This is number 5. She just released the treehouse picture, and I love it as well. So I'd already ordered this, and I had ordered the overdyed for this one and all of the other ones, the first 4. I'd ordered all the overdyed, and that was when I ordered the extra floss for my jackrabbit. So I thought, I'm just gonna go ahead and get this. I'm not gonna stitch the houses anytime soon. I'm just trying to get free shipping from Lindy Stitches. It's fine. Well, then it came, and then I decided I should probably just kit up the floss, like pull all the floss. And then once I did that, I just wanted all the patterns. So I just went ahead and bought all of them. So all the ones that are out. So we have all 5 that are available. And Sarah, my friend Sarah, did say that she had the castle, but I just decided to go ahead and have them all. I don't know why I wanted to hold them all in my hand, but I did. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to stitch them on. I actually haven't put the floss on top of the fabric yet, so we'll do that together. Lindy Stitches I ordered all this from her, and I did get a little complimentary piece of fabric. It is 32 count vintage smoky white linen, and I really love it. It's a very, very small piece if you're looking for an ornament. But that was really kind. And then for the fabric, I got 36 count pearl gray linen. I actually emailed Lindy. That's not her name. Her name is Steph. I emailed Steph and asked her what she recommended, because it calls for fox and rabbit, some 40 count, and like I couldn't find it anywhere, and I'm also still nervous about 40 counts. I didn't want to buy a 40 count that I would want to stitch all of them on, because if I don't like it, then I'm stuck, which is kind of what happened with the Year in the Woods. So I do want to try 40 count. I feel like I'm probably ready for it, but I don't want to do some series. I just want to do something small. So this is what one of the fabrics that she recommended to try. So let's start, see if I can find the right ones. All right, so first, let's look at Santa's house. This is the first one. So there's the fabric, and here are the flosses. I think that's gonna be great. My concern is just like, are there any colors that aren't gonna show up? So there is, this is a classic Colorworks Plymouth Rock. It's kind of reminds me of like a 317 or a 318, but it's a lot darker than the fabric. I think it's gonna be fine. So most of these call for 1 or 2, just drop them all on the floor, overdyes. All right, I'm trying to find the next one. Is this it? Here we go. Okay, this one, honestly, looking at the picture, and I did see the castle when I've seen it online, and I actually saw it in a needlework store in Orlando a couple months ago, and I almost got it, but when I looked at it, it was like, I don't know. It didn't speak to me. I mean, I love blues and there's a lot of blues, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not super excited about it. But then I pulled the flosses and now I'm excited. And I kind of think I might start with this one. So here are all the flosses. Look at those blues and greens. I know the colors are not great. There is like kind of a, what color is that? 168. There is kind of a gray. This is close. It's kind of bluish. But I think, you know, that's going to be like within the pattern. And so it will show up. It's not like outlining things, but looking at these flosses now, I want to do this one first. The blues and greens and grays are absolutely beautiful. So that was my mistake in thinking that was not a good one. Okay. All right, we have Hobbit House green. All right, number 3. Okay, here's number 3. Now this is the only one so far that does not include any overdyed. It's all DMC. You can see it's a lot of white, a lot of lace, almost lacy. So, and I will say, a lot of them call for 3865, like that white color, and then 3799, and I only put them on one of my floss drops, so I'm just keeping them all in the same bag. But here are all of the DMC that go with this one. It's a lot of like pink, yellow, purpley greens. It's really, really pretty. This greenhouse, the cottage. I really thought this one was my favorite from just looking at them before I looked at the flosses, and I still am excited about it, but that castle just is more exciting than I thought. So this is number 4. And here, they're all tangled up. Hold on. Okay. What is happening? Okay. Well, okay. All right, that's better. Let me see. Where's my fabric? It's not a great, this one is not as striking on film, but it's a lot of different greens, yellows. It does have just one overdyed, this Classic Colorworks green. Lots of bright, very springy. And then finally, the one that got me to purchase them in the first place is the Hobbit House. My husband's a huge Lord of the Rings fan. And I mean, they've had the names of the houses on her website since she started, so I knew it was coming, and I still was like, wow, that's amazing. This one also has some good pinks, greens, blues. Let's see how it's gonna look. Yeah, there's a couple like lighter grayish browns, but I think they're all gonna show up really well. So I really am happy about this fabric choice. It's almost a bluish gray. I know the lighting is terrible here. It's darker than it looks. Yeah, so I've got all 5 of those. Also, listen, I'm a very like frugal shopper. I have a very limited floss budget, and yet I somehow managed, without realizing it, to order 2 fat quarters of the fabric. I do not know how I did that. It was like $20 per fat quarter, and how I didn't in my head realize that I was spending $20 more than I was, I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, because it makes sense. I ordered 4 patterns. They were like $10. The fabric was $20. That's $60, and then 1 overdyed, so that's like 60 something. But my total was 80 something, and I didn't even look. And then I got 2 of these. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I do tend to de-stash my patterns and like sell them on Facebook a lot of the time to kind of recoup some of my losses. Like obviously not PDFs, but like paper patterns. So I've had success in the past selling a paper pattern, and if I had fabric, like people really like to buy the patterns with the fabric. I did that with my Lindy Stitches Let Every Creature. I bought the pattern and the called for fabric, but it was twice as big, so I cut it in half and I sold the pattern to someone or I have packaged it together to sell it. So yeah, anyway, I might do that. This is 1 fat quarter at 36 count will fit 6 houses because they're 6 3/4, no, 6 5/8 square. And so if you add an inch, a little over an inch on each side, it will be about 9 by 9. And a fat quarter is 18 by 27. So you could fit 6. So I might cut it into 6, and then eventually one day sell them along with the patterns. We'll see. Finally, my plans, my computer back. It's not going to turn on. It's not going to do it. So I'm going to try to remember what I put on there. My current goal is to rotate through my whips. So I've worked this month in April on Pandemic and on Northern Land. So I'm not probably going to work on them again until I've worked through some of my other whips. I have some other big ones. But I have 11 whips. I am hoping I can finish that airmail whip, and then maybe the raccoon. Those take me, if I just stitch on a raccoon or on one of the Year in the Woods, maybe a week or 2. And I also have the Amur leopard, which is part of the Endangered Species Club from Lindy Stitches. And I have the next one already, which I haven't started, and I won't start till I finish the leopard. But in May, another one's coming out. So I'd love to finish the Amur leopard so that I could get started on the elephant that I already have, and then, you know, the next one. I did buy, actually, when I bought the alien sampler, I bought another ink circles pattern. It is going to be a gift for my husband for his birthday, so I'm not going to show that until it's done. His birthday's in July, so it won't be long. And I'm hoping to maybe start one of the houses for my son's birthday. It's not for him, so it doesn't have to connect to him. I'm trying to think of how to make it so I connect the castle to him. I was like, how can I make this meaningful? He's our second son. The castle's the second in the series, so that would work. He is our kind of imaginative, introverted, introspective, so that's gonna look a castle. Also, though, we've watched Lord of the Rings with them all, so I could just do Hobbit House. Who knows? I don't know what I'll do. But I'm gonna start one of those. Finally, I did want to say, last time I asked about trying to find like kindred spirit stitchers, and Jenny, who used to be Long Dog Stitcher, recommended a friend of hers, Leah, from Rhubarb Patch Studio, and I've really enjoyed her videos. She does a lot of changes, and that's kind of partly what inspired me to do that alien sampler and change it up. Leah is working, I just watched her recent video, and she's working on a long dog. She's stitching the negative though, so that her fabric shows through the bigger places where she's now not stitching, and I just think that is brilliant. It's terrifying to me. I don't even know how she's doing it, but I love that. I also finally started watching the Hathaway Stitchers. My friend Sarah, who is a real person friend who stitches, sent me their free bird nerd patterns, and I was like, oh, this is cute, whatever. Where did this come from? And I saw Hathaway Stitchers, and I was like, okay, whatever. I finally watched them, and I've watched all their videos now in the last week, and if you're not watching them, you have to. Their back and forth is hilarious. They do have beautiful projects. One of them is a newer stitcher, one's been stitching for a long time. They do tons of different kinds, but it's all just really beautiful stuff. Even the stuff that I wouldn't stitch is still so fun to watch, and I've like laugh out loud at their videos. They're so funny. So you should watch them if you're not. That is all I have for today. I'm gonna have to stitch together these few videos since I had to pause a few times. But I'm so glad that you're here. I'm sorry for the lighting. I think I need to not film in this room. The lighting is just not great. So thank you for being with me today while I think about how I'm gonna change this up next time. But happy stitching. I hope you are happy with what you're working on, and I will see you next time.